So this video is going to look at coding a password strength analyzer as per the task that was set. So the conditions for our password to be parsable are to be 8 characters long or more, and to have at least 3 types of characters from uppercase, lowercase, special characters and numbers. So we need at least 3 of those 4. So 3 or 4 different types of characters and at least 8 characters long. So what we've coded so far is simply just the heading and an output in the shell, so we can see which program we're running. I've initialized the variables uppercase, lowercase, special characters, numbers and the score all to be 0, and I've taken input from the user and stored it in the variable password. You can see I've run that down there, so it outputs the information, and I've entered the password of nothing and it says the password's too short. So if we have a look at why and what's going on, get to the main part of the code. So we're saying if the password is at least 8 characters long, then we will do all these other checks. But if the password is not 8 characters long, we're not going to bother doing any of that. We're just simply going to say the password's too short, and that's what we had before. So if the password is 8 characters long, we're going to do all of this stuff here. So what's going on is we're iterating with a for loop through the string that we've entered for the password. So from 0 to the length of the password, to the last character in the password. And then we've got a number of conditional statements. So if the password is an uppercase letter, then we are going to output the word uppercase with that character. Now this obviously isn't important for a real password checker, but what we're trying to do here is analyze what's going on to help us debug our code. I know we've got the ability to view our variables over here, but it just saves us from having to step into the code by giving us a complete output. Now let me say from the outset, this is not a great way to program this task. Okay, so we are going to move on from that, but this is simply a how to get started in what you know already. Okay, so we're simply using our simple for loops, our conditional if statements, and we are incrementing a score, if you like, counter by 1 each time if that condition is met. So we start off by stepping through. If it's uppercase, we add 1. If it's lowercase, we add 1 to the lowercase score. Numeric, add 1 to the numeric score. And then here's the key point. It's quite difficult trying to suss out if a character is a special character or not. So what we've done is said if it's not uppercase, it's not lowercase, and it's not numerical, then it must be a special character. And you'll see there's a slight problem with that a little bit later, but let's crack on for now. So with that, we should have scores if we type, for instance, something like this in. If I type PASWORD 123, we can see that we have uppercase, we've got lowercase, and we've got numbers. So if I press enter on that, we know that the uppercase should be counted, the lowercase should be counted, and the numbers, but not the special characters. And it said our password's accepted because it was 8 characters long, and it's counted all the uppercase and lowercase. So looking over here with our variables, we've got 7 lowercase letters, 3 numbers, 1 uppercase, which gives us a score of 3 different types of characters. Now that we've got that score, well, this is how we created the score. We've said if there's an uppercase character, so in other words, if there's at least 1, we'll add 1 to the score. If there's at least 1 lowercase character, add 1, 1 number, add 1, and if there's a special character, add 1 as well. Then if our score is 3 or more, we'll say the password's accepted. But if it isn't, then we'll say password denied because we need at least 3 different types of character. So what we can see here, if we run it again, just another test, if I type password now, it's definitely 8 characters, but we've only got 2 different types of characters, so it tells us to use at least 3 different types. Now here is the problem with the program. If I now enter PASS space WORD 123, I've now got capitals, lowercase, numbers, and this space here. Now space should not be allowed in a password. So if I enter that, you can see passwords accepted because of the way we've coded. else means that we think it's a special character. But what we should have here is another elif to say elif password open brackets square brackets I equals space, then we do not want to continue. We want to make that illegal. Now, getting out of that loop is a little bit tricky, but the point is we'll move on to that as we go through with our coding skills. But for the moment, you can see what's happening, and it will give you a score to make sure you've used at least three different types of characters and you've got 8 characters long. So if you can make sure that's coded, and then see if you can translate this code into the slightly more difficult task which I've set afterwards.